Good afternoon. My name is John Gabriel. I'm an interviewer for the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Today I'm interviewing Larry Niederhelman on July 24th, 2007 at the main library. Our camera operator today is Doug McGee. Welcome, Larry. Thanks for coming down here.
No.
Let's start off by talking about what you did before the war, where you grew up, that sort of thing.
Well, I'm a Norwood person, born in Norwood and worked my full life in Norwood. Joined the Army from Norwood, and that's about it.
Did you enlist in the Army?
No, I worked for the gas company, and they had a job for me to complete before I could be drafted. They asked for an extension or something like that. My two younger brothers joined the Marines ahead of me, and then when it came time for me to leave the gas company, I was in the infantry.
How old were you when you joined?
Oh geez, I don't know, 28, something like that.
28?
Yeah.
How?
I get all screwed up with dates.
Do you remember what the date, what year it was when you enlisted, or when you went into the Army?
44.
44. Okay. Where did you take your basic training?
Mississippi.
Mississippi. Must have been.
Yeah, that was a good experience down there. I was assigned to the 99th Infantry Division down in Mississippi and took all of my training in the Louisiana swamps and all that. It was a bad experience.
It was.
It was really bad. And I took a course in the telegraphic, and there was a fellow by the name of Hertrick and myself were pretty decent. They were good at that, and they asked for volunteers. They needed people in that army to go overseas, that section. And we volunteered. They sent us up to Fort Dix and gave us a rifle. Never saw a bit of radio, telegraphic, nothing. It was a real experience.
How long were you at Fort Dix?
Oh, I suppose 2 months, something like that. And then they loaded us on a transport, and it was crowded. It must have been a luxury liner of some kind, and it had many elevations in it. They even had a very large swimming pool above, and they had that all full of life rafts or whatever. And they had us I was below water, and they had us in these hammocks that were swinging, and I couldn't take it, so I went up and stood on board during the whole trip over.
Oh my God.
It was bad.
Was it cold?
Yeah, chilly, but you learn to live with that kind of stuff because it wasn't decent weather in the South, Louisiana. It got cold and wet, bad news. I don't want to go back there.
And so it was a long journey over from the U.S. Where did they drop you at when you got across the sea?
Casablanca.
Casablanca.
Yeah, they took a very southern trip, I understand. Of course, I wouldn't know where we were, but they were saying, we're heading south. And then all of a sudden, here we are into the area that turned out to be Malta, but we were west of that in the Casablanca area.
Huh. Were you part of a big convoy?
No, they just had maybe 2 escort ships, and I don't know what they were. They were small, but we were on that big liner, and I guess at that time the war was more to the north. There weren't any subs or whatever down in the southern portion of the Atlantic. at least that was my understanding. They told you, don't worry about it.
So they dropped you off in Casablanca, and what happened once you got there?
They loaded us onto a train, and it was a narrow gauge, and there were cattle cars. They were only about, maybe from here to the chair over there long. And they just packed us in there like sardines, and it was smelly because all they fed you was the sea rations and all that stuff like that. And I mean, farting all the time, smelly. And every once in a while, they would stop and say, everybody out, and then you could go out into the prairie grass about that high and do your job or whatever, and load up again. And it was all the way over to the Tunisia type of area, all the way over on those cars.
How long was the trip?
Oh, I don't remember, but it probably was around 3 or 4 days.
Oh, gosh.
It wasn't good.
That's not good. What's in a sea ration?
What kind?
Yeah, well, no, I mean, what is a sea ration?
Sea ration is a can, like the size of a Campbell soup can, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just vegetables and potatoes, and it was really solid. It wasn't liquid. And then they had the K rations, some kind of bar they had in a envelope, and that was our food.
Oh, boy, that's a bad trip.
Yeah, bad trip.
All right, so you got to Tunisia, and then what happened?
Well, we trained there. They put us on landing craft, and they take you out and then turn you around and practice landing, dropping the front end down, and then you had to jump off into the water about knee deep, something like that, and run up. And then they taught you how to go over barbed wire. That the guy in the front would throw his body over the barbed wire. And the one day I did it, I got stuck with one of those that sticks up, and they put me in a hospital for about 3 days, bleeding like I stuck home. But I didn't like that landing. That was bad news. Seasick, up and down, up and down.
Oh, boy.
And they take you out there and then maneuver around and then land you. And that went on day after day. And then it came time to go up to Naples.
Is that how you landed in Naples? Did you land using?
No, they had I guess you'd call it an LST or something like that. It was a larger boat. Yeah.
So this must have been after the invasion of Sicily was over. You guys came in later on. The main.
Yeah, they had established that north of Naples. What was that beach?
Anzio?
Was it Anzio? Just up the coast from there, and we were down in Naples, and they had us in a racetrack center. I don't know if it was automobile or horse races, but we were camped in the middle of that, in the so-called infield, I guess. And we were there for, I guess maybe several days. And they said the officers were moving in. So we had to get out of there, and then they started to move us up into line. So we could do a little bit of exploring into the where the artillery was landing or whatever. You got to dig your foxholes and so forth. So
I see. Now you're just in the infantry company at this point?
no,
What kind of unit were you in?
Infantry,
Okay,
strictly infantry,
strictly infantry.
riflemen, and of course, they teach you the bazooka and all that stuff. And they originally thought I was a super bayonet fighter. I don't know why. But you always had a bayonet on your rifle.
Okay. All right, so you're out of the racetrack and you moved up into closer to the line there. At this point, have you come in contact with any enemy
No.
planes or ships or anything?
No, when they moved us up, they said, okay, now you dig yourself a foxhole and you're going to be here for a while until the big break comes, so to speak, you know, the advance up the peninsula. And we each night reconnoitered, you know, crept out and could see what's in the area, and you could smell some of the dead Germans that were up ahead.
Huh.
But I guess that was kind of hairy, because you never knew if there was going to be an artillery round coming in or anything like that. But we made out all right.
Was there fighting going on around you that you could hear?
Gunfire up. At that time, they were doing a lot of bombarding at Anzio. And I guess they were doing their share of fighting too, you know, reconnoitering out to see what the lay of the land was. But we were just stuck in those trenches, foxhole.
Were you just all, during the daytime, were you required to remain in your foxholes?
Yeah.
So how long did you stay in that position?
I guess about a week and a half, something like that. That was my first experience of, you know, artillery coming in and the smell of dead flesh and knowing that there's a body out there rotting and so forth.
How close was the artillery going back and forth?
Oh, I wouldn't know.
It wasn't landing anywhere near you.
No, that came later.
That came later.
Came later.
Well, after you left your foxholes and I guess moved up the peninsula, where'd you go? What happened next?
Well, we were the 337th of the Custer Division, and the 339th had the name that they were the best of the group, and they moved out first when the advance notification came, and we followed them, I guess maybe 300 yards or something like that behind their main line, and some of those guys were killed in rifle fire or artillery or whatever, mortar fire. And I can remember crossing a stream. At that time, I think I was a corporal and I was supposed to be in the back. The sergeants were up front, the corporal in the back. And we crossed the stream, I guess it was about this deep, going across. And then we just kept moving on.
What kind of terrain was it? Was it woodsy or deserty or?
Shrubby.
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 Were you going from town to town, or was it all out in the open?
This was all out in the open.
I see.
All out in the open.
So while the 339th was advancing, you guys were coming up behind them. Were you in skirmish line, or were you in this straight patrol, you know, going down the road, a straight line?
We were in a straight line, walking, crawling, whatever.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, 300 yards isn't that far.
No, that's right.
You must have been catching some artillery yourselves at that point.
Yeah, well, I can remember one time that there was artillery falling behind us, and it wasn't incoming, it was somebody behind us weren't doing their job.
Oh, boy.
They didn't have the, I don't know, their instruments or whatever set up, but the shells were falling just behind us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's dangerous.
No incoming except for the rear.
Well, when did you find yourself in your first combat experience where you had to fight it back?
Well, I can remember after I waded through that little stream and in advancing on the 39th that was ahead of us, some of those fellows were down, wounded, and maybe dead for all I know. And then we were in an area where there was a slight rise, and there was a fellow by the name of Ledger, who was a friend of mine throughout the Army, even down in Mississippi and Louisiana. And he had never gotten a leave to go home since he had been in the Army, drafted. And he was killed right alongside of me. Just took a shot right through the head.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time, as I recall, I was motioning like this, "Come on, you guys." And my hand felt funny. And I crawled up out of there and lifted my rifle and got into another area that was kind of a hollow. And I looked down and I was bleeding. And one of the medics came over and he said, "You've been shot. You're going back." And I said, "Well, I'm all right. I can hold a rifle and everything." He said, "You're going back." So then I went back maybe, I don't know, half mile or so, walking, and sat outside of an aid tent, and they put a bandage on me, a splint on the finger, and said, "Okay, you're going back."
How have you done? Where in the hand were you hit?
It went in here and came out here and then through this finger.
How have you done?
Just as I was doing this, it hit me.
Right at the same time, more or less, that Ledger got hit.
Yeah, it's really weird. And I didn't feel anything, you know, maybe a little sting, but I really don't remember. And he said, "Back to the tent."
Back to the tent?
Yeah.
How long were you behind the lines then?
Oh, kind of difficult to say. Maybe 2 days,
Yeah.
and then sent back to a field hospital.
I see. It's kind of a serious hand injury then.
Well, yeah, there was a lot going on. The artillery was the worst thing, as far as I'm concerned. I did not see an enemy soldier while I was crawling up to the front. Didn't see anybody. But I don't know where the guy was that shot me. I have no idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've interviewed quite a few veterans. Usually it was the ones who fought in the Pacific who said that. Because, the Japanese are in the caves and they could never see them. But I guess it's not that unusual.
Yeah, well, when you're in that heavy grass,
Yeah.
you just can't find people out there.
So was that the end of the war for you then? After that injury, did it send you home?
That was the end.
How many days were you actually on the Italian soil?
Oh, golly, I don't know.
A couple of weeks or so.
Well, something like that. I was gonna say 15 days, but, I don't know. They sent me back to the, like a general hospital, and, they, put a special kind of splint on my fingers, and, they said, "Now, you're gonna have to do this, and keep it wiggling and all that kind of thing." They had a ladder that was about that wide, about that tall, and they said, "Now, you gotta crawl up that with your finger to keep that, so it won't stiffen up on you."
Right, right. I'll be done.
And that was it.
What kind of accommodations did they have you in while you were you in a bed in the hospital, or were you bunked someplace else?
I was in a bed,
Uh-huh.
a cot
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
Did you receive your mail there? Were you allowed to leave the hospital?
I got very little mail, and I wasn't one to do any letter writing at all. My father was a head of the, I think they call it the Marine Parents Association or something like that. And he was really busy, and he tried to keep up with the boys in writing, but I guess he didn't get any response from us, and he just kind of, left it go.
Did you and your brothers correspond when they were in the Marine Corps?
No, not a bit. Didn't one time.
Did you even know where they were fighting, or they you? Or?
Nope. I just assumed that they were in the South Pacific, but I really don't know.
I see. Wow. Well, after you recuperated from your gunshot, what happened next?
Sent home.
Sent right home.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. Loaded on board with a bunch of injuries that were a lot worse than I had, stretcher cases and so forth and so on. And they sent me back home and gave me a, I don't know, a 4 or 5 day pass or something like that down to in the area of Miami Beach for a mini vacation.
Hey.
And then I got to go home for a visit and then back to the Army.
Where did they send you next in the Army?
Let's see, I think it was Pennsylvania.
Did you stay in the Army long?
No, as soon as I could get out, I got out.
When was that?
I worked my way up to staff sergeant when I got back. I don't know why that is. I guess they thought I had something
Sure.
that I could teach them. And there was a fellow by the name of Sergeant Addy that I bummed with, and he was in the Army and came from the area around Erie, Pennsylvania. And we bummed together while we were waiting to be discharged.
Okay, well, you got out of the, what year did you get out of the Army approximately?
Oh, it's all in here. I guess it was around, I don't know, 46.
What were you doing on the day the war ended? Do you remember that?
No, not really. Not really.
Some people said they were having a big party or things like that.
In fact, I don't know where I was. I have no recollection of where I was.
What did you do after the war? And after you got out of the service?
Went back to the gas company.
Ah, your job was waiting for you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And then they gave me an opportunity to go to school. That's we will do certain things for you if you will do certain things for us. Like you get an engineering degree or whatever, and we'll take it from there. So I started to go to the university. And took me 17 years to get out when I got out. All night school.
Oh, boy.
All night school. And I got married and had 5 children.
Great.
And took a long time, but I made it. Cap and gown after all those years.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, do you keep in touch with any of the guys you served with? Or your old unit? They have reunions?
There was only one fellow by the name of Hertwig that he was in Italy. He was one of those teletype operators. When he got back, his girlfriend called and said, we are going to get married. We would like to have your girlfriend come up and be the, maid of honor or something like that. So she went up on a troop train
That's good.
to do her thing. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, unless there's anything else you'd like to share, any memories you have of your time in the service or even since then, you feel free to tell me right now. Or we'll take this opportunity to wind down and thank you for your time.
No, I don't have anything in particular. I'm 86 years old, and I have lost a lot of memory. And I don't know whether that's usual or unusual, but there's a lot of things that I have trouble remembering. I do remember one instance where when we were back after I came back to the States and was training other people. We were in an area and the artillery was practicing, and they were hitting within maybe 15 yards of us. And it was so strange, you know. I thought we were all done with that stuff. They were supposed to be lobbing, you know, way over there, and here they're behind us. But I guess things like that happen.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know whether they're mortar rounds or artillery. But
When you were out in the fields in Italy, could you tell whether the Germans were firing artillery or mortars at you? Could you tell the difference by?
yeah.
Did it happen often? Did the artillery
Oh, yeah.
shot at you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the guys said that, like you, he said that was the hardest thing to deal with. Was the noise and the destruction, etc.
Yeah. Yeah, and we lived in those foxholes, you know.
Was there someone in your foxhole with you, or were you alone?
It depended on what your position was. If you were on I guess you'd call it like a patrol position, you were by yourself. Other than that, you were with somebody.
I see.
Back where the kitchen was, or where you could get your food.
I see.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any problems with the Germans at nighttime?
Nope. Nope. Not a bit.
And no airplanes came over and gave you a hard time? Good for you. I'm glad. Good. Well, Larry, I appreciate your time, and I thank you for your service to the country. And I hope you've enjoyed the experience, and I'm sure future generations will enjoy watching this video.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Yes, you're more than welcome.